He moved his mother into the garage, claiming it was for her safety. He said the wiring was dangerous. But while she slept on a cot, he was pouring gasoline on the walls of the home where she raised him. He thought he was planning the perfect accident. He didn't know she had two secrets waiting for him, a hidden camera and a deadbolt he couldn't open.
He's my son, in blood only. I said those words under oath in a courtroom in Harrington County, Pennsylvania, with my hand on a Bible and my voice steady, 6 weeks after he tried to burn me alive. The house was still smoking when I walked out of the garage, August 18th, a Tuesday. The firefighters didn't expect to find anyone alive. But I was there, standing in the driveway with a camera the size of a peach in my hand. 52 years in that house. Richard and I bought it in 1975. Pale yellow siding, 3 bedrooms, a maple tree in the front yard that was just a sapling then. We painted the kitchen twice, replaced the roof once, raised our son in those rooms. Derek. The firefighters kept asking if anyone else was inside. I told them no, just me. I'd been sleeping in the garage. They looked at each other like that didn't make sense. It didn't. Not until later. The flames ate through the living room first. I could see it from where I stood, the windows blown out, black smoke pouring into the morning sky. The maple tree was untouched, 50 years old, its leaves still green. I thought about Richard, how he died in the bedroom 5 years ago. Cancer. Slow. We'd had time to say everything that mattered. He never saw this. Never knew what Derek would become. Or maybe he did. Richard used to say Derek had expensive taste. That was the kind way to put it. Derek wanted things, big things. A restaurant that failed in 2 years, a sports car he couldn't afford, a life that cost more than he earned. And when Richard died, Derek started looking at me differently. Not like a son looks at his mother. Like someone solving a problem. The fire chief approached me, asked why I'd been in the garage. I told him the truth. My son said the wiring in the house was dangerous, that I needed to sleep out there while he fixed it. 3 months I slept on a cot in that garage, listening to him move through my house at night. I didn't tell the fire chief about the camera, not yet. It started in May. Derek came by on a Sunday. I was in the garden. Martha's lavender had come back strong that year. She'd given me the seeds before she died. 2 years now. I still talk to her sometimes when I was pulling weeds. Derek stood at the fence, said he needed to talk. We sat at the kitchen table, the same table where Richard and I had eaten breakfast for 50 years. Derek folded his hands, serious. He said the house was old, that the electrical wiring was from the 70s. Dangerous. He'd been reading about house fires, wanted me to be safe. I asked him what he suggested. He said he'd fix it himself, save me the money, but I'd need to stay out of certain rooms while he worked, maybe sleep in the garage, just temporary, a few weeks. I didn't argue. I'm 67. I was married for 47 years. I know when someone is lying. The way they hold your eyes too long. The careful arrangement of words. Derek was lying, but I didn't know why yet. So I said yes. He moved me into the garage the next week, brought a cot, a lamp, some blankets. He said he'd start in the bedroom, pull out the old wiring. It would take time. I should stay out of his way. 3 months I lived in that garage. I'd wake up at dawn, make coffee in the kitchen while Derek slept upstairs in my bed. Then I'd go back to the garage, sit on the cot, wait for the day to pass. Sometimes I'd work in the garden. Sometimes I'd just sit. Derek came and went. He'd tell me he was making progress, show me wires he'd pulled from the walls. I'd nod, say it looked good. He never actually fixed anything. In July, I noticed my will was missing. I kept it in a metal box in the closet, along with Richard's death certificate, the deed to the house, insurance papers. I went to check something. The will was gone, just gone. I didn't ask Derek about it. I just noted it, filed it away. Martha used to say I was too trusting, that I gave people the benefit of the doubt even when they didn't deserve it. She was right. But that July, something shifted. I started paying attention. Derek asked me about the house insurance, how much it was worth, if I'd updated the policy recently. I said I hadn't. He suggested I should. Said houses like this were worth more than people thought. I told him I'd think about it. 2 days later, I saw a bank notice on the kitchen counter. Not mine, Derek's. It was addressed to him, but he'd left it open. I didn't mean to read it, but I saw the number. $180,000 in collections. I put the notice back. Didn't say anything. But I started watching, really watching. The way Derek moved through the house, the phone calls he took outside, the way he looked at the walls like he was measuring something. And I started thinking about that camera. The one Richard bought years ago, for security. We never used it. It was in a box in the garage, small, the size of a peach. I'd forgotten about it until then. I set up the camera on July 28th. It was a Saturday. Derek had gone out, said he had errands. I found the box in the corner of the garage, dusty. The camera still worked. Battery charged through a USB cable. I tested it, pointed it at the wall, recorded 30 seconds, played it back, clear, good audio. I thought about where to put it. Not obvious. Not pointed at the door. Derek would see that. I needed something he wouldn't notice. I looked around the garage, tools on the wall, boxes stacked in the corner, a shelf near the ceiling with old paint cans and supplies. I put it there, between a can of primer and a box of nails, angled down toward the cot where I slept. If someone came into the garage at night, the camera would catch it. I turned it on, set it to motion-activated recording. Then I forgot about it. Or I pretended to. The truth is, I thought about it constantly, lying on that cot at night, wondering if it was recording, wondering what it would show. Part of me hoped it would show nothing, that I was being paranoid, that Derek really was fixing the wiring and I was a suspicious old woman who'd lost her trust. But I knew better. August 3rd, late at night. I woke up to voices, not in the garage. Outside. 2 men. I recognized Derek's voice immediately. The other one I didn't know. They were talking low. I couldn't make out the words, just the tone. Urgent, serious. Then footsteps. They walked toward the house. A door opened, closed. Silence. I lay there for 20 minutes, listening. Then I got up, pulled the camera down from the shelf, brought it back to the cot, turned on the screen and scrolled through the recordings. There, August 3rd, 11:47 p.m. The motion sensor had triggered. The recording started. The garage door opened. Derek stepped in. He looked at me sleeping on the cot, studied me. Then he turned to someone behind him, a man I didn't recognize, 30s, dark jacket. Derek said something. I turned up the volume. "She's out. She sleeps like a stone. Keep it fast." The other man nodded. They backed out. The door closed. The recording ended. I sat there, holding that camera, the screen still glowing in the dark. I played it again and again. Derek's voice, clear. "She sleeps like a stone. Keep it fast, fast." I thought about what that meant, what they were planning to keep fast. My chest felt tight, not panic, something colder, like the air had changed pressure. I put the camera back on the shelf, went back to the cot, lay down. I didn't sleep that night. In the morning, Derek made me breakfast, scrambled eggs, toast. He asked if I'd slept well. I said yes. He smiled, said the wiring was almost done, just a couple more weeks. I ate the eggs, drank my coffee, thanked him. Then I went into town, found a copy shop, the kind that does printing and office supplies. I asked the clerk if they could transfer video from a small camera to a USB drive. She said yes. I bought 3 USB drives, went back home, waited until Derek left again. I copied the recording 3 times. One drive I hid in the garden, buried it under the lavender Martha had given me. One I put in my purse. The 3rd I left in the camera. Then I put the camera back on the shelf, exactly where it had been. And I waited. Layer 4. Growing doubt, 620 words. I thought about calling the police. That was the logical thing. Show them the video. Tell them what Derek said. But what had he actually said? Keep it fast. Fast what? I didn't have proof of a crime. Just a strange conversation in my garage. A lawyer would tear that apart in seconds. And he was my son. That mattered, even when I didn't want it to. Even when I knew what he was planning. Some part of me kept hoping I was wrong, that there was an explanation, that Derek wasn't capable of what I suspected. But I knew he was. The gambling debt explained part of it. $180,000. That kind of number doesn't just happen. That's years of bad decisions, doubled down, compounded. Derek had always been reckless with money, even as a kid. He'd blow through his allowance in a day, then ask for more. Richard tried to teach him budgets, savings, consequences. It never stuck. After Richard died, Derek asked me for money, $15,000. He said it was for the restaurant, a final push to keep it afloat. I gave it to him. The restaurant closed 3 months later. He never paid me back. I didn't ask him to. He was my son. That's what mothers do. We give, we forgive, we pretend not to see the patterns. But lying in that garage at night, I saw them clearly. Derek didn't just want money. He wanted the house, the property, 52 years of equity. Richard and I had paid off the mortgage in 2008. The house was worth $400,000, maybe more. And I was 67, healthy. I could live another 20 years. Derek didn't want to wait that long. I remembered something Martha said once. We were having tea. She was talking about her nephew. He'd stolen from her, forged a check. She'd pressed charges. I asked her how she could do that. He was family. She looked at me over her cup, said family doesn't mean you owe them your safety. At the time, I thought she was being harsh. Now I understood. I started keeping a journal. Nothing elaborate, just dates, times, what Derek said, what he did. August 7th. Derek asked about my health, said I looked tired, suggested I see a doctor. August 9th. Derek mentioned life insurance, asked if I had a policy. I said no. He said I should get one for final expenses. August 12th. I found documents. Derek had left his laptop open on the kitchen table. I wasn't snooping, it was just there. The screen was on. An email. I saw my name. I stopped, read it. It was from an insurance company. Subject line, policy application approved. I scrolled down. The policy was in my name, $528,400, filed July 21st, beneficiary Derek Walsh, my son. I hadn't applied for any insurance. My hands were shaking. I took out my phone, photographed the screen, 3 pictures. Then I closed the laptop, put it back exactly where it had been. Derek came home an hour later, asked what I'd done that day. I said nothing much, worked in the garden. He nodded, said he'd ordered pizza for dinner. We ate on the couch, watched television. He told me about a job opportunity, something in Philadelphia. He might need to move, seemed excited. I asked when. He said soon, maybe September, after the house was fixed. I threw away my pizza, said I wasn't hungry, went back to the garage, lay on the cot, stared at the camera on the shelf. 4 weeks between the insurance application and now. How much longer did I have? August 15th, 3 days before the fire. I went into Derek's room while he was out. I'd never done that before. Even when he was a teenager, I respected his privacy. But this wasn't about respect anymore. This was survival. His laptop was on the desk. Closed. I opened it. It wasn't password protected. Careless. Or maybe he didn't think I'd look. I found the folder immediately. Insurance. Inside were PDFs, applications, forms, emails. I clicked on one, read it. It wasn't just the policy, it was correspondence. Derek had been communicating with someone at the insurance company for months, asking about payout timelines, claim procedures, how quickly beneficiaries received funds after a death. I kept reading. There was another folder, contracts. I opened it, found something worse. Text messages, screenshots. Between Derek and someone named Jay, the man from the garage. They'd been planning this since May. The exact conversation was laid out. May 18th. Jay, you sure about this? Derek, she's old, weak, won't take much. Jay, when? Give it time, need the policy to clear. June 2nd. Derek, policy submitted. 4-week processing. July 28th. Jay, we doing this or what? Derek. Soon, waiting for her to trust the setup. August 10th. Derek. Next week, Tuesday night. She'll be asleep, fast and clean. I stopped reading. My son was planning to kill me. Not theoretically, not maybe. He had a date, a method, a partner. He'd forged an insurance policy in my name, moved me into the garage so I'd be isolated, waited for the paperwork to process, and I'd let him. I'd slept on that cot for 3 months while he prepared to murder me. I'd eaten his food, thanked him for his concern, believed he was protecting me. I closed the laptop. My hands weren't shaking anymore. Something had shifted. The fear I'd been carrying since July evaporated. What replaced it was colder, clearer. I went back to my phone, opened the photos I'd taken of the insurance email. Then I went through Derek's laptop again, found every file, every message, every document, photographed all of it. It took 40 minutes. When I was done, I had 63 photographs, a complete record of what Derek had planned. The insurance fraud, the conspiracy, the intent. I backed up the photos to a cloud account, one Richard had set up years ago. Then I deleted them from my phone. If Derek checked, he'd see nothing. I put the laptop back, exactly as I'd found it, closed the door to his room, went back to the garage, sat on the cot. August 18th was a Tuesday, 3 days away. Derek had told Jay Tuesday night. That meant I had 72 hours. I could run, pack a bag, leave, call the police from somewhere safe, show them everything. But then Derek would know I'd found out. He'd destroy the evidence, hire a lawyer, claim I was confused, an elderly woman imagining things. He'd walk away, and I'd spend the rest of my life looking over my shoulder. No. If this was happening, it would happen my way, on my terms, with proof no one could deny. I didn't sleep Tuesday night. August 18th. I lay on the cot, fully dressed, shoes on. The camera on the shelf was recording. I'd checked it twice, made sure the battery was full, the angle right. If someone came through that door, the camera would catch everything. I'd also called someone earlier that day, a locksmith. Told him I needed a deadbolt installed on the garage door, interior side. He came at noon. Derek was out. The locksmith didn't ask questions, just installed the lock, gave me the key. I paid him cash. When Derek came home that evening, he didn't notice. Why would he? The deadbolt was on the inside, invisible from the house. We had dinner together, spaghetti. Derek talked about his plans for Philadelphia, the apartment he'd looked at, how excited he was for a fresh start. I listened, nodded, asked about the rent. He said he'd be fine. The insurance money would cover it. He didn't say which insurance money. He didn't have to. Around 10 p.m, I went back to the garage, told Derek I was tired. He said good night. I closed the door behind me, turned the deadbolt, heard it click. Then I sat on the cot, waiting. 11:30, I heard voices outside. Derek and Jay. They were near the house, talking low. I couldn't make out words, just murmurs, then footsteps coming toward the garage. I lay down on the cot, closed my eyes, slowed my breathing. The handle turned. The door didn't open. The deadbolt held silence. Then Derek's voice, confused. It's locked. Jay said something. Derek tried the handle again, rattled it. Nothing. More silence. Then footsteps, walking away toward the house. I waited. 5 minutes. 10. Then I smelled it. Gasoline. Faint at first, then stronger. I got up, looked through the small window in the garage door. Couldn't see much, just darkness, but the smell was unmistakable. I heard liquid splashing, pouring, the sound of it hitting wood. They were dousing the house. My house. 52 years, every memory Richard and I built, every room Derek grew up in. They were soaking it in gasoline. I heard Jay's voice, clear now. You sure about the garage? Derek answered. She's locked in. Probably just paranoid. Won't matter. Fire will spread, whole place will go up. What about the door? Deadbolt's interior. She can't get out once the smoke hits. She'll pass out first, then burn. More footsteps, more pouring. The smell was overwhelming now. I pulled my shirt over my nose, backed away from the door. The camera was still recording. I checked. Red light blinking. It was getting everything. Then I heard the strike, a match, the whoosh of ignition, flames catching. I looked through the window, saw orange light, fire climbing the back wall of the house, fast, faster than I expected. The wood was old, dry. It lit up like paper. Derek and Jay ran. I heard a car start, drive away. The fire spread. I could see it through the window, eating through the kitchen, the living room. Black smoke pouring out. The heat was intense even from the garage. I could feel it through the walls. I waited until the flames reached the second floor. Then I unlocked the deadbolt, opened the door, walked out into the driveway with the camera in my hand. The house was an inferno. Flames shooting through the roof, windows exploding from the heat. The maple tree in the front yard stood untouched, its leaves still green in the firelight. I watched it burn. 52 years. Gone. Richard's chair, the kitchen table, the bedroom where we slept, the walls we'd painted, the floors Derek crawled on as a baby. All of it turning to ash. I thought I'd feel something, sadness, anger, loss. But I just felt tired. I walked to the end of the driveway, took out my phone, dialed 911, told them my address, said my house was on fire. The operator asked if anyone was inside. I said no, just me. I was safe. Fire trucks arrived in 8 minutes, police right behind them. They asked questions. Where was I when it started? Did I see anything? I told them I'd been sleeping in the garage, woke up to the smell of smoke, got out just in time. They asked why I was in the garage. I said my son had been fixing the wiring, thought it was safer. One of the firefighters looked at me, asked where my son was now. I said I didn't know. He'd gone out earlier, hadn't come back. The fire chief approached. Older man, grey beard. He introduced himself, said they'd investigate, asked if I had somewhere to stay. I said I'd figure it out. Then another man arrived, suit, badge. He introduced himself as Thomas Green, arson investigator, State Fire Marshal's office. He asked if I'd be willing to answer some questions. I looked at the camera in my hand, small, the size of a peach, still warm from the heat. I looked at Thomas Green, said, "You'll want to watch this." Thomas Green and I sat in his car. The fire was still burning behind us. Firefighters spraying water, smoke turning the night sky grey. Green had a laptop. He set it up on the dashboard. I handed him the camera. He connected it with a cable. "What am I looking at?" he asked. "Proof," I said. He played the recording, the one from August 3rd. Derek and Jay entering the garage. Derek's voice, "She's out. She sleeps like a stone. Keep it fast." Green's expression didn't change. He just watched, let it play. Then he looked at me. "When was this?" 2 weeks ago, I said. "I set up the camera after I noticed things. My will went missing. Derek asked about insurance. I found documents, a policy I never applied for." Green rewound the video, played it again. This time he took notes, asked for dates, times. I told him everything. The 3 months in the garage, the fake repairs, the conversations I'd overheard, the insurance policy for $528,000. I told him about the laptop, the emails, the text messages between Derek and Jay. I showed him the photographs on my phone, all 63 of them. Green looked at each one, didn't speak, just scrolled, read. When he finished, he sat back, stared through the windshield at my burning house. "Where's your son now?" he asked. "I don't know," I said. "He left before the fire started. He and another man. They poured gasoline on the house, lit it, then drove away." "You saw this?" I heard it, smelled it. I was in the garage. They tried to open the door, but I'd installed a deadbolt. They couldn't get in, so they burned the house instead. Green nodded, closed the laptop. "Mrs. Walsh, I need to take this camera as evidence, and I need you to make an official statement. Can you do that?" "Yes." "Tonight?" "Yes." He drove me to the station. Small building, fluorescent lights. We sat in a conference room. A detective joined us, woman, 30s. She introduced herself, but I don't remember her name. They set up a recorder, asked me to start from the beginning. I did. I told them about Derek, the gambling debt, the failed restaurant, how he moved me into the garage in May, how I found the insurance policy, the camera, the recordings, the emails, the plan, all of it. It took 2 hours. When I finished, the detective asked if I was willing to testify, if this went to court. I said yes. She asked if I was sure, said it would be difficult. Derek was my son. People would judge me. Ask why I didn't stop it sooner, why I let it happen. I looked at her. Said, "He tried to burn me alive, for money. I don't care what people think." The detective nodded, turned off the recorder. Green walked me out, said they'd issue a warrant for Derek's arrest, find him, charge him with arson, attempted murder, insurance fraud, conspiracy. He asked if I had somewhere to stay. I said I'd find a hotel. He gave me his card, said to call if I needed anything. I thanked him, walked out into the parking lot. It was almost dawn. The sky was turning pink. I stood there, realized I had nothing. No house, no clothes, no keys. Everything I owned was ash. I called a taxi, went to a motel on the edge of town. The clerk gave me a room. I paid for 3 nights. Went upstairs, sat on the bed, stared at the wall. I should have felt something. Relief, fear, grief. But there was nothing. Just exhaustion. I lay down, closed my eyes, slept for 12 hours. When I woke up, it was afternoon. My phone was ringing. I answered. It was Green. He said they'd found Derek, arrested him at a gas station 30 miles away. Jay too, both in custody, charged, held without bail. He asked how I was doing. I said I was fine. He said the district attorney wanted to meet with me, discuss the case. I said okay. We set a time. I hung up. Then I did something I hadn't done in months. I cried. Not because of the house, not because of Derek, but because it was over. The waiting, the fear, the pretending, all of it. I'd survived, and Derek hadn't won. I cried for 10 minutes. Then I stopped, washed my face, got dressed, went to a store, bought new clothes, underwear, a toothbrush, soap, basic things. Then I went back to the motel, sat at the desk, took out a piece of paper, a pen, wrote a letter. To Derek. No greeting, no dear, just words. When I finished, I folded it, put it in an envelope, wrote his name on the front. No love, no signature. Mailed it the next day. Never got a reply. The district attorney's name was Patricia Mendez. We met in her office, 3rd floor of the courthouse, Harrington County. She was younger than I expected, early 40s, sharp suit. She shook my hand, asked me to sit. She had files on her desk, thick folders, Derek's name on the tabs. She opened one, showed me photographs. My house, burned, just a shell, blackened walls, collapsed roof, the maple tree still standing. Mendez said the fire marshal confirmed arson, accelerant used, gasoline, multiple points of origin. Whoever set it wanted the house to burn fast, completely. They'd found evidence of planning, receipts for gas cans, purchased by Jay Morrison, Derek's accomplice. She said they had enough to prosecute both men. Arson, attempted murder, conspiracy, insurance fraud. The charges were serious, decades in prison serious. But she needed me to testify. I said I would. Mendez leaned back, studied me. Mrs. Walsh, I need you to understand what that means. You'll be cross-examined. Derek's lawyer will try to discredit you. They'll say you were confused, that you misunderstood, that a mother wouldn't let her son burn. They'll twist everything. Let them, I said. It won't be easy. I didn't expect it to be. She nodded, closed the file. Derek tried to contact you from jail 3 times. We blocked it. But he's asking for you. Says he wants to explain. There's nothing to explain. He's your son. In blood only. Mendez looked at me for a long moment. Then she smiled, small, sad. I believe you, and I believe we'll win this case. But I need you to be ready. This will take months, maybe a year. Preliminary hearing, trial, appeals. Derek won't go quietly. I'm ready. Do you have legal representation? No. Do I need it? Not for the criminal case. The state prosecutes, but Derek might try to sue you. Civil court. Claim you set him up or defamed him. It's a long shot, but he might try. Let him try. Mendez handed me a card. A lawyer, civil defense. Said to call if Derek filed anything. I took the card, put it in my purse, thanked her. She walked me out, said the preliminary hearing would be in 3 weeks, September 9th. I should expect to testify. I said I'd be there. Then I went back to the motel, checked out. I couldn't stay there anymore. It felt temporary, liminal. I needed something more permanent. I called a realtor, asked about rentals. She said there weren't many in Harrington County, mostly houses for sale. I told her I wasn't ready to buy, not yet. She said she'd look, call me back. 2 days later she did, said she'd found something, a trailer, on a piece of land outside town. Month-to-month lease, cheap. Did I want to see it? I said yes. The land was familiar. I knew it before we even turned down the driveway. The realtor parked, pointed to the trailer, small, white, slightly rusted, but solid. I got out, looked around. It was the same land, my land. The property Richard and I bought in 1975. The house was gone, just a foundation left, charred wood, ash. But the maple tree was still there, and the garden, Martha's lavender, burned but not dead. The trailer sat at the edge of the property, 50 feet from where the house had been. The realtor said the owner was renting it out. Hadn't found a buyer for the land yet. Fire damage scared people off. I asked who the owner was. She checked her notes. Eleanor Walsh's. I stared at her. That's me. Oh. She blinked. Then I guess you don't need to lease it. I'd forgotten. After Richard died, the house went into my name, solely. No joint ownership. The fire destroyed the structure, but the land was still mine. 2 acres, paid off. The realtor left. I walked to the trailer, opened the door. Inside was basic, kitchenette, small bathroom, bed in the back. But it was clean, livable. I sat on the bed, looked out the window, could see the remains of the house from there. 52 years, reduced to ash, but the land was still mine. I moved in the next day, brought my new clothes, toothbrush, soap, That was all I had. The realtor asked if I needed furniture. I said no, not yet. I'd figure it out. That night I unpacked, put my clothes in the small closet, set my phone on the counter, then I walked outside, stood in the driveway, the same driveway I'd stood in the night of the fire. The maple tree's leaves were starting to turn red, orange. Fall was coming. I walked to the foundation of the house, ash everywhere. I knelt down, picked through it, found something. The brass doorknob from the front door, tarnished, blackened, but intact. Richard installed that door in 1980. Said it would last forever. He was almost right. I took the doorknob back to the trailer, washed it in the sink, set it on the windowsill. A reminder, not of what I lost, but of what survived. Then I sat at the small table, opened my laptop, started writing. A timeline. Everything that happened. Dates, times, evidence for the trial, for Mendez, for myself. I wrote until midnight. Then I slept in my own space, on my own land, for the first time in 4 months, without fear. The preliminary hearing was September 9th, Harrington County Courthouse, old building, stone steps. I arrived early, wore a navy dress, simple, nothing flashy. Mendez met me outside, went over what to expect. The judge would hear evidence, decide if there was enough to proceed to trial. Derek would be there. I'd have to testify, look at him, speak clearly. I said I understood. We went inside. The courtroom was smaller than I expected. Wood paneling, high ceiling, rows of benches. A few people sat in the back. Press maybe, curious neighbours. I didn't look at them. Derek sat at the defence table, orange jumpsuit, handcuffs, his lawyer next to him, young man, expensive suit. Derek looked at me when I walked in. I didn't look back, just sat behind Mendez. The judge entered. Everyone stood. She was older, 60 maybe, grey hair, sharp eyes. She sat. We sat. She called the court to order. Mendez presented evidence first. Showed the video from the camera. Derek and Jay in the garage. She's out. She sleeps like a stone. Keep it fast. The judge watched, took notes, asked Mendez to play it again. She did. Then Mendez showed the photographs, the emails, the text messages, the insurance policy, all 63 images I'd taken from Derek's laptop. The judge reviewed each one, asked questions. Mendez answered, explained the timeline, the fraud, the conspiracy. Derek's lawyer objected, said the evidence was obtained illegally, that I'd accessed Derek's laptop without permission, that the camera was placed without his knowledge, invasion of privacy. Mendez countered, said I owned the house, the garage. I had every right to install a camera on my own property. And Derek's laptop was left open. in a common area. No expectation of privacy. The judge agreed with Mendez. Then she called me to the stand. I walked up, sat in the witness chair. The clerk handed me a Bible, asked me to raise my right hand, swear to tell the truth. I did. Then Mendez approached. She asked my name, my age, how long I'd lived in Harrington County, basic questions, establishing who I was. Then she asked about Derek. He's your son? Yes. Tell the court about May when he asked you to sleep in the garage. I told them. The fake electrical repairs, the 3 months on the cot, the missing will, the strange conversations, the insurance policy I never applied for. Mendez asked about the camera, why I set it up. I explained, said I was frightened, needed to know what was happening. The camera was small, discreet. I placed it on a shelf, set it to record on motion. She asked what it captured. I described the video, August 3rd, Derek and Jay, the conversation, she sleeps like a stone, keep it fast. What did you think that meant? Mendez asked. I thought they were planning to hurt me. Did you confront your son? No. Why not? Because I needed proof. If I confronted him, he'd deny it, destroy evidence. I had to wait. So you waited for them to set the fire? Yes. The courtroom was silent. Mendez asked about the night of August 18th. I described everything. The deadbolt, the voices, the smell of gasoline, lying on the cot, waiting until they left, walking out with the camera. You could have died, Mendez said. Yes. Why didn't you leave? Because I needed them to act, to commit the crime. Otherwise it was just talk, just plans. I needed proof no one could deny. Mendez showed me the insurance policy. Asked if I'd ever seen it before Derek applied. I said no. She asked if I'd signed any documents. I said no. She asked if I authorized Derek to act on my behalf. I said no. Then she sat down. Derek's lawyer stood, approached me. He smiled, polite, fake. Mrs. Walsh, you love your son, don't you? I did. Did? Past tense. So you don't love him any more? No. He paused, looked at the judge, like I'd said something shocking. Then he turned back to me. Mrs. Walsh, isn't it possible you misunderstood what you heard? That your son was trying to help you? That this was all a mistake? No. You're 67 years old. Is it possible your memory? My memory is fine. But you've been under a lot of stress. Your husband died 5 years ago. You've been living alone. Depression can cause. I'm not depressed or confused. My son tried to kill me for insurance money. I have proof. The lawyer frowned, changed tactics, asked about the camera, why I hid it to take the shots. If I was spying on Derek, I said no. I was protecting myself. He asked why I didn't call the police after I saw the video. I said because I didn't have enough evidence yet. Just a conversation, no crime. He asked if I planted the laptop evidence, if I created fake emails. I said no. Everything was real. He asked if I hated my son, if this was revenge. I said no, this was survival. He asked one more question. Mrs. Walsh, if the jury finds your son guilty, he could spend the rest of his life in prison. Can you live with that? I looked at him. Then I looked at Derek. First time since I'd entered the courtroom, he was staring at me, eyes red. He looked smaller somehow, older, like he'd aged years in weeks. I looked back at the lawyer, said, "He's my son, in blood only." The lawyer sat down. The judge asked if I had anything else to add. I said yes, asked if I could speak directly. She said yes. I turned to the courtroom, saw the people in the back, the reporters, the neighbours. I took a breath. I'm 67 years old. I've lived in Harrington County my entire adult life. I was married for 47 years, raised a son, worked as a librarian, paid my taxes, went to church. I was a good mother. I tried to be. But my son made a choice. He chose money over my life. He forged documents, planned my murder, set my house on fire. I survived because I refused to be a victim. I documented everything, gathered evidence, did what I had to do, not because I hate him, but because I have a right to live, to be safe, to demand accountability, even from my own child. I stopped. The courtroom was silent. "That's all," I said. The judge nodded, dismissed me. I walked back to my seat, didn't look at Derek. The judge called a recess, 30 minutes. Mendez said it went well, that my testimony was strong, clear. I didn't respond, just sat there, waiting. When the judge came back, she ruled, said there was sufficient evidence to proceed to trial. Derek and Jay would be held without bail, trial date set for March, 6 months away. I stood, walked out, didn't look back. Outside the courthouse, reporters asked questions. I ignored them, got in my car, drove back to the trailer. When I got there, I sat at the table, poured a glass of water, drank it slowly. Then I noticed something on the windowsill. The brass doorknob, still there, tarnished, blackened, surviving, like me. I started planting the day after the hearing. Martha's lavender, the seeds she gave me 2 years ago. Most of them had burned in the fire, but I'd saved some. A small packet tucked in my purse. I'd forgotten about them until I unpacked. The ground where the house had been was dead, black, nothing growing, ash and charred wood. But underneath, the soil was still there, rich, dark Pennsylvania soil, the kind Richard used to say could grow anything. I cleared a small patch near where the garden had been, pulled out the burned debris, turned the soil. It was hard work. My back ached, hands blistered, but I kept going. When the patch was clear, I planted the seeds, pressed them into the earth, covered them, watered them. Then I stood back, looked at what I'd done. A small square of turned soil in the middle of ash. It didn't look like much, but it was something. That night I sat in the trailer, made tea, Martha's old kettle, the one she'd given me years ago. It had been in the garage the night of the fire, survived. I'd found it the next day, buried under tools, dented but functional. I'd washed it, used it every morning since. The ritual was the same. Boil water, steep the tea, sit at the table. But the context had changed. No more kitchen with yellow walls, no more view of the maple tree from the breakfast nook. Just a small trailer, a window looking out at ash. But it was mine. I thought about the doorknob on the windowsill. Richard had installed that door 45 years ago, said it was solid oak, would last forever. The door was gone, the house was gone, but the doorknob remained. And then there was the ring. I'd found it the day after the hearing, went back to the foundation, searched through the ash, looking for anything that survived. I found my wedding ring, or what was left of it. The gold had melted, reformed into a misshapen lump. The diamond was gone, fallen out or lost. I held it for a long time, that lump of gold. Richard had given me that ring 52 years ago. I'd worn it every day since, through good years and hard ones, through his illness and death, through Derek's betrayal. I thought about keeping it, reshaping it somehow, making it into something new, but I didn't. I walked to the edge of the property where the ash met the grass, knelt down, dug a small hole, buried the ring, covered it, patted the earth flat, letting go. Not of Richard, not of the 52 years, but of the idea that I could carry everything forward. Some things had to stay in the past, in the ash, so I could move forward without them. When I got back to the trailer, I checked the lavender patch. Nothing yet, too soon, but I watered it anyway. Whispered to Martha, told her I was trying, that I'd survive this, that I'd make something new from the ruins. I didn't know if she could hear me, but I said it anyway. A week later, something changed. I was sitting at the table, working on a crossword, looked out the window, saw green, the maple tree. It had been burned on one side, black bark, dead branches. I thought it would die, fall eventually. But there on the unburned side, new leaves, small, pale, growing. The tree was recovering. I stood, walked outside, approached it, touched the new growth. Soft, fragile, but real. 50 years old. That tree. Burned but not dead. Like me. The letter came in October. Thomas Green, the arson investigator. Envelope with the state fire marshal's seal. I opened it at the table, unfolded the single page, handwritten, not typed. Mrs. Walsh, it began. I wanted to reach out personally. Your case is closed now. Derek and Jay pleaded guilty, accepted a deal. 15 years for Derek, 12 for Jay. No trial necessary. The evidence you gathered made it impossible for them to fight. I've worked hundreds of arsons in my career. I've never seen a victim with your level of preparation, your clarity. You didn't just survive, you uncovered the truth, and you did it with dignity. That matters more than you know. If you ever need anything, call me. Thomas Green's. I read it twice, then folded it, put it in a drawer. 15 years. Derek would be 56 when he got out. I'd be 82, if I lived that long. I wondered if he'd try to contact me when he was released. Apologize, maybe. Explain. I wondered if I'd respond. Probably not. Some things don't heal. Some betrayals go too deep. You can forgive, move forward, build a new life, but the relationship stays broken. Blood doesn't mean family. Family means trust, safety, love that doesn't come with conditions or calculations. Derek lost that, not because I took it away, but because he threw it away himself. I stood, walked outside. The October air was cool. The sky was grey, rain coming. I walked to the lavender patch, knelt down, looked closely. Green, tiny shoots breaking through the ash, growing. Martha's lavender. I touched one, gently. It was fragile, might not survive the winter, but it was trying. That was enough. I stood, looked at the maple tree. The new leaves were bigger now, stronger. The burned side was still black, dead. But the living side was thriving. Recovery wasn't symmetrical. Some parts stayed broken while others healed. That was okay. I walked back to the trailer, poured tea from Martha's kettle, sat at the table. The brass doorknob on the windowsill caught the light. Tarnished, scarred, but solid. I thought about what came next. The trial was over, the charges resolved. The house was gone. Derek was in prison. My old life was ash. But I was still here, on the same land Richard and I bought in 1975, the same earth, different structure, but mine. I could rebuild, sell the land, move somewhere new, start completely over. But I didn't want to. This was my home. Not the house, the land, the maple tree, the lavender, the memories buried in the soil. I wasn't going to let Derek take that from me. He'd burned the structure, but the foundation was still mine. I'd stay. Plant more lavender, maybe vegetables, fix up the trailer, make it permanent, live small, live quiet, but live on my terms. No one trying to manipulate me, no one calculating my worth, no one waiting for me to die. Just me, 67 years old, a widow, a mother who lost her son not to death but to greed, a woman who survived fire because she refused to be a victim. I sipped my tea, looked out the window. The rain started, light, steady, soaking into the ash, nourishing the lavender shoots, the maple tree, the earth. I thought about everything I'd lost, the house, the memories, the son I thought I had, and I thought about what I'd kept, my life, my dignity, my right to safety, my land. I set down my cup, spoke out loud to myself, to Martha, to anyone listening. You are not what they tried to burn. I paused, looked at the doorknob, the kettle, the lavender outside. You are what stayed.